The ocean covers 71% of this planet, and we've explored less than 25% of it. And the parts that powerful governments have explored, some of what they found down there, 3 miles under in complete darkness, was classified before the ship even made it back to port. Here are 10 of those discoveries. Before we get to very specific discoveries, you need to understand what the SOSUS is. The Sound Surveillance System. It's a classified Cold War era network of hydrophones planted across the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean floors, built to track Soviet submarines. The entire thing was classified until 1991, but here's the thing. While it was listening for submarines, it was also picking up other things. Unidentified biological signatures, deep ocean sounds from creatures scientists had never cataloged. The Navy has acknowledged the network existed. It has never fully disclosed what else it heard. The anomalous recordings from this are still under restriction. That's where this list starts, with the listening posts themselves. In 1971, U.S. Navy divers from the modified submarine USS Halibut swam into Soviet-controlled waters in the Sea of Okhotsk and physically attached a wiretap to an active Soviet nuclear communications cable. The operation ran for nearly a decade, perfectly classified until 1980, when NSA analyst Ronald Pelton sold the entire program to the KGB for $35,000. The Soviets pulled the tap in 1981, Pelton was arrested in 1985 and sentenced to 3 life terms. But here's what's still not public: the full technical documentation of what those divers documented on that ocean floor, cable infrastructure, signal intercepts, and what else they encountered in the dark remains classified to this day. In March 1968, Soviet nuclear submarine K-129 sank somewhere in the North Pacific with 3 nuclear ballistic missiles on board. The Soviets searched for months and found nothing. The CIA found it. They spent 6 years secretly building the largest deep-sea recovery vessel in history, the Hughes Glomar Explorer, under the cover story that billionaire Howard Hughes was mining manganese nodules from the ocean floor. In 1974, they raised a section of the submarine from 3 miles down. They recovered Soviet code books, cryptographic equipment, and 2 nuclear torpedoes. The operation was classified for 36 years, confirmed by the CIA in 2010. What was actually encoded in those codebooks? They never released it. And I mean, that's a little nuts when you think about it. A $350 million operation confirmed by the government, and the most important part of what they found is still sealed. Soviet nuclear submarine K-278 Komsomolets caught fire and sank in the Barents Sea on April 7, 1989, taking 42 crew members and 2 nuclear torpedoes down to about 5,400 feet. Russia classified its full environmental assessment almost immediately, and here's why that classification is still worth talking about. Every summer since the sinking, Norwegian and Russian scientists have measured elevated cesium-137 and plutonium levels in water samples taken near the wreck site. The contamination levels independent researchers are measuring consistently don't match what Russia says it lost. The Russian government's full data on the current state of that hull and the actual leak rate still classified, and the hull is compromised. For decades, the Soviet Union had a straightforward approach to nuclear waste. Drop it in the Arctic Ocean. We're talking 17 nuclear reactors, some still containing fuel rods, plus approximately 19,000 containers of radioactive waste dumped across the Kara Sea and Barents Sea. Every record of it was classified. The world didn't officially know until 1993, when Boris Yeltsin signed a decree and released a partial government report. Even that report didn't include a full inventory. Norwegian scientists doing independent seabed surveys have since found contamination signatures that still don't match what Russia officially admits to dumping. The arithmetic doesn't add up, and it hasn't for 30 years. Nuclear attack submarine USS Scorpion vanished in the Atlantic in May 1968, taking 99 men with it. The Navy found the wreck 6 months later, sitting at 10,000 feet, and immediately classified the Court of Inquiry findings. The official explanation is that a malfunctioning torpedo detonated inside the hull. Now, these are obviously extraordinary claims from a government that had strong reasons to control the narrative in 1968. And just because it's the official explanation doesn't mean that you should automatically accept it, because independent analysts have consistently noted that the hull damage pattern doesn't cleanly fit a self-detonation scenario. Key technical annexes from the inquiry were partly declassified in the 1990s. Several remain sealed. 99 men died, and we still don't have the full story. The Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center, AUTEC, is a U.S. Navy installation near Andros Island in the Bahamas. The water beneath it, in a region called the Tongue of the Ocean, drops to over 6,000 feet. Officially, it's a weapons testing and submarine evaluation range, but since at least the 1960s, Navy personnel stationed there have filed internal reports describing unidentified submerged objects tracked on sonar moving at speeds no known submarine can achieve at depths that would crush conventional hardware. Every single data record generated at AUTEC is classified by default. And in the 2021 UAP Task Force briefings, AUTEC was specifically named as one of the primary sites where trans-medium sonar contacts, objects moving between air and water, have been consistently logged. The speed profiles, depth signatures, all of it sealed. This facility has been operational for 60 years. 60 years of classified sonar contacts in a 6,000-foot underwater test range that almost nobody talks about. When we think of UAPs and UFOs, we're always looking up to the sky, but I don't know, something weird is also going on underwater. I'm just gonna say it. In 2010, NOAA's Okeanos Explorer conducted ROV surveys of sections of the Mariana Trench that had never been accessed before. Some footage from those dives was released publicly, some wasn't. Peer-reviewed papers from the expedition reference collected biological specimens using placeholder designations rather than identified species names, which isn't standard scientific practice once a sample has been cataloged. Several researchers on that expedition have since described the post-mission classification response as unexpected and immediate. Now, I don't know. There are legitimate reasons to classify biological data, biosecurity concerns, undisclosed resource claims, but 3 scientists from that expedition have said on the record that what was withheld wasn't mundane. What do you think of this one? Because I find it pretty hard to explain away, and clearly the Mariana Trench is one of the most mysterious places on Earth. In 2021, the Pentagon's UAP Task Force released its preliminary assessment covering 144 incidents. What most coverage glossed over is that 18 of those incidents involved objects the report described as performing trans-medium travel, what we kind of discussed about before, moving between air and water without decelerating, without generating the cavitation signatures that would destroy any known submersible. Some of those incidents took place in deep ocean environments. Carrier strike groups tracked objects descending into the water and continuing to move on sonar for minutes afterwards. The Pentagon acknowledged the category exists. It classified all raw sensor data associated with those events and the oceanic profiles of where those objects descended. Depths, coordinates, what's actually at those locations are all sealed. Could be nothing, but probably nothing is a pretty unsettling thing to classify. During the Cold War, the US and Soviet Union both secretly mapped the deep ocean floor in extraordinary detail. Not for science, but for military advantage. The classified US program produced bathymetric charts accurate to within meters in certain regions. Those charts documented anomalous geological formations, potential submarine concealment zones, and, according to at least 2 declassified Navy memos from the period, were specifically described as unexplained structural features on the ocean floor that don't match any known geological formation. Civilian use versions of those maps were released in the 1990s. The versions flagging those specific structural features have never been made public. And that's kind of the one thing that sticks with me, because we literally mapped the surface of the moon before we mapped our own ocean floor. And when we finally did look, some of what we found, we apparently decided to lock away. So, I don't know, call it suspicious, call it coincidence, call it what you want. All right, guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon.